The last card avoidance play, when you finally stop caring, doesn't look anything like what movies have taught us. There's no dramatic confession under the rain, no sudden epiphany with roses in hand, no desperate begging at your doorstep. Their final move isn't loud, it's quiet. It slips in sideways, disguised as coincidence, masked as casual, wrapped in a strange mix of distance and vulnerability. It's not designed to win you back in one strike. It's designed to test if there's still a thread they can pull, to see if your indifference is real or just another storm that will pass. The irony is that this last card often looks the least like love, but it's the moment they feel the most panic, when you stop caring. They feel it more than you think. For someone who has spent years mastering detachment, your silence doesn't just sting, it shatters their system of control. Their entire worldview is built on the belief that they never need anyone, that they can always walk away first, that closeness is optional. But when your indifference mirrors their old attachment back at them, it forces them to face the one thing they've always run from, the fear of being irrelevant. That's when the last card comes out. The first move is always subtle. An avoider won't send a dramatic, "I miss you" text, because that risks rejection. Instead, it's a sudden like on a photo you posted months ago, a casual comment on something trivial, or a quiet reappearance in places they know you'll be. They might show up at the cafe you once loved, or accidentally run into you at an event they previously would have avoided. They choose these intrusions carefully, with built-in escape routes. If you ignore them, they can pretend it meant nothing. If you notice, they've cracked open a window without ever admitting what they were doing. It's not about connection, it's about control. They want to know they can still affect you without risking their pride. But it doesn't stop there. Once they see a small reaction, they escalate. The next tactic is manufacture emergencies that only you seem able to solve. Their car breaks down near your area, and you're somehow the first person they call. They're having a panic attack at 2 a.m., and your number is the only one they remember. They need advice about work, conveniently about the same problem you two once discussed in detail. These aren't real emergencies. They're carefully designed moments to pull you back into the role of caretaker. They're not asking for help, they're asking for proof. Proof that you still care enough to respond. If you do, they know the thread isn't fully severed. After that comes a nostalgia wave. Suddenly, they're posting photos from trips you took together, adding vague captions like "good times." They send accidental texts referencing inside jokes only you'd understand. They might even play your favorite song at a gathering, hoping someone mentions it to you. These aren't random. They're attempts to resurrect feelings, to remind you of moments when they mattered most. It's their way of saying, "Remember when you loved me," without facing the risk of you saying, "Yes, and I remember why I left." What follows is the transformation showcase. Avoidants start performing growth, but never directly to you. Instead, they sprinkle it where they know it will reach you indirectly. They suddenly become the life of the party in front of mutual friends. They casually mention therapy, meditation, or emotional breakthroughs. They start reposting articles about vulnerability, healing, or love, the exact things you once begged them to work on. These aren't changes made for themselves. They're curated performances designed for your eyes. They need you to believe they've evolved, because deep down they fear you've moved on to someone who actually has. Then comes the jealousy trigger. Out of nowhere, they're dating someone new, someone who suspiciously resembles you in looks or habits. They make sure you find out through social media or word of mouth. But notice the contradictions. They complain to mutual friends that this new person just doesn't get them. They slip up and call them by your name. They try to recreate things you once did together. This isn't moving on. It's their most desperate attempt to make you jealous enough to re-engage, to prove to themselves they're still irreplaceable. And when all else fails, they weaponize vulnerability. The person who couldn't say, "I love you," after years suddenly shows up drunk at your door, spilling their deepest fears. They send long midnight texts about childhood trauma, confessing things they never shared while you were together. They cry in front of your friends about how they've never connected with anyone like they did with you. But here's the truth. This sudden vulnerability isn't a breakthrough. It's their nuclear option. They're betting that seeing them finally break will make you lower your walls. It's not openness. It's strategy. Their last card also involves rewriting history. The same person who once minimized your relationship to just casual suddenly tells people you were the one who got away. They exaggerate, painting the breakup as their biggest mistake, but only to people they know will pass it back to you. This is revisionist history, designed to make you question your decision, to plant doubt in your peace. It's not love, it's propaganda. And perhaps the most haunting part of their final card is the way they confess only when they know it's too late. They admit they loved you from the first date, that they sabotaged a relationship out of fear, that they compared everyone else to you and found them lacking. They'll tell you they're finally in therapy, finally changing, finally ready. But notice the timing. These confessions often arrive right when you're moving on, right when you build a new life, right when you're finally happy without them. They don't confess to win you back. They confess to haunt you, to make sure you never close the chapter completely. It's their way of leaving a question mark in your mind, ensuring that even in your future relationships, some part of you still wonders, what if? That's why the last card isn't romantic. It's not a gesture of love or growth. It's the desperate scramble of someone whose defenses have collapsed. They can't fight for you openly, so they fight sideways. Through coincidences, nostalgia, jealousy, staged vulnerability, and delayed confessions. And the cruelest irony is that many avoidants feel your absence more deeply than they ever felt your presence. Distance gives them safety. Missing you from afar feels less threatening than loving you up close. So they hover at the edges, tugging on threads, too scared to step fully forward, too terrified to let go completely. By the time they play this last card, the choice is no longer theirs. It's yours, because their tactics only work if you allow them to. The subtle reappearances, the nostalgic breadcrumbs, the sudden grow performances, the jealousy triggers, the midnight confessions, they all collapse when met with the same thing that started it all, your indifference. When you truly stop caring, their last card isn't powerful. It's just another performance in a story you've already walked away from. And that's the part they never prepare for, that the final hand they've been saving all along doesn't work on someone who has finally reclaimed their peace. If this helped you see the avoidance last card more clearly, give this video a like, subscribe for more insights, and share it with someone who might be piecing together the same story.